I wanted to start this off by saying that I'm not a doctor, so I'm just a person who was messed up by these drug dealing quacks. I'm not happy about it. I'm pretty angry at the medical system, but obviously I take responsibility as well for some of it. But what I wanted to talk about was my experience with Diff, my initial, how I got it, how it came back, and then how I fixed it. I fixed it without the use of the medical system or drugs. I just figured it out myself. So hopefully this helps some of you out there, because this C. diff is an absolute nightmare, as you know, if you've had it or you're going through it now. But initially I had an issue with one of my teeth. The tooth, I had tooth pain with the dentist. I didn't really want to do a root canal. I've heard they're not healthy at all. And I said to her initially, I was like, I don't want to do this. Root canals, I don't want this gaping hole in my mouth. And she was like, no, it's fine, etc., etc. She did the root canal. We left it open for a period of time because that's what you got to do. And then I got this crazy infection in my neck here. And the infection wouldn't go away. And so she was giving me antibiotics. And I was like, I don't want to use antibiotics. I know they're bad. They've probably caused me problems in the past. I don't want to use them. And she said, no, this one course will be fine. And this was Augmentin. And Augmentin has traditionally given people C. diff quite commonly. It's a very powerful antibiotic. I expressed my concerns to the dentist. Trusting them like an idiot I am, I went and took the Augmentin. The Augmentin was very powerful. It did fix the infection. It cleared my skin up. All this stuff. My gut got better, like, while I was taking it. It's very powerful. But then this infection would not go away, and we weren't closing the tooth up because of the infection, and she started to try to convince me that maybe the infection is not from the tooth, it's from something else, unrelated. And at this point I'd had enough, and I said that I want to just take it out. Because at that point I'd had 2 months straight of antibiotics, and I kept saying to her and 2 different doctors that I went to that I don't want to take them. Is this safe? And I was on Augmentin 2 rounds. I was given a third that I never took, and amoxicillin, I think, a couple of rounds. And they all were like, no, it's fine. You can take antibiotics. We put children on them for months. You'll be fine. And no one gave me any warnings. Nothing. And I had no idea what was coming. So eventually we took the tooth out. Of course, the infection goes away. I never go back to that dentist again. However, I have diarrhea for a month. Vicious diarrhea, just 10 times a day, 15 times a day, water just flowing through me. I just thought I Googled it, and I thought that this was just a side effect of coming off antibiotics, and some of the stuff online says it is. They say that this can happen, it takes a couple of months, so I waited a month. But then after about a month, this pain in my lower left portion of my stomach, it's like something pinching hard, got a lot worse. And it was very painful. And it got scary. And I was sitting there scared of this pain because I'd never had it before. And so I went to the doctor, got a test, and lo and behold, I was positive for C. diff. And it scares me because people die from this. And I see why. Because it's just so vicious, the way, what it's like to completely lose all health of your gut. And I understand what that's like now, to completely have your gut, it seems like it's just destroyed and all that comes out is water and not much is absorbed. Impossible to put on weight. So I can see why an elderly person or someone with a poor diet or health issues would possibly end up in intensive care and pass away from this. The pains I was getting was crazy. Like, I was getting chest pains, I was getting headaches, I was getting weird pains in my jaw, pains through my body, down my leg, in my testicles. Obviously, the stomach was constantly crazy swollen, very sensitive to the touch. So anyway, when I was tested positive, they gave me Flagyl, which is the common first round. I've never actually heard of the first round working for someone. The doctor, the drug dealer, told me that usually if he gets a positive test, he gives someone the flagyl and he never hears from them again. So he assumes it works. I think that's a lie. I've never heard of it working for anyone. But anyway, I didn't know what to do. I was Googling it. I took it for 3 days, and the side effects from this stuff were crazy. This is a little while ago now, but I remember just feeling sick and heavy and confused and just so screwed up. So I went back to the doctor after those 3 days because it wasn't working. The diarrhea was crazy still. And the doctor prescribed me vancomycin. The thing at this point is what I had done a ton of research, because while you're that fucked up from this thing, as you know, if you've had it, you try to figure it out. You're going online, you're going to forums, you're Googling stuff, you're on Facebook, whatever. I knew what the next lines of action were. I knew what drugs, I knew what was the best indicated answer to what was happening. But I was kind of, when you go into a doctor's office, I kind of feel like I kind of play the dumb person. I leave it up to them, and it's part of the problem. It's what I take responsibility for, is not looking after my own health in that sense. We have the same information that they have. Sure, I don't have doctor's education or experience, but I can read the same studies. It's not like they have access to these special studies that the public don't have access to. We have access to all of it. We can see what the best indications are. We can see what the best results are. We can see all the side effects. I knew vancomycin was the next best thing. I didn't say anything. I read about ototoxicity, which is this stuff can affect your ears. I thought it'd be okay. It's a very rare side effect. I got it. It was very hard to get. I'm in Australia, obviously, by my accent. It was hard to get because I don't believe we use it much here, but I got it. I took one dose, and suddenly the tinnitus in my ears got about 5 times worse. I took this as a sign of something's wrong. But I had to make a decision. And this is how much Diff scares the shit out of you. Because I decided between damaging my ears and getting rid of this bug. And I knew that if I continue, it may damage my ears, or I would just have to live with this fucking bug forever. So I made the choice to get rid of this bug, even at that risk. I was hoping that I could heal the ears if there's a problem. That's how scared I was. Looking back, terrible idea, but anyway, I'll get to that. So I did the 10 days, pretty much on vancomycin. The second, third day, the diarrhea went away. After the 10 days, it had gone. The stomach was still sensitive. Things weren't perfect, but the diarrhea had gone, and I was happy, but my ears was worse. The tinnitus was a lot worse. These weird fluttering things in my ears. And that was a month and a half ago, and it hasn't really gone away. I think maybe it's a bit better. I'm not sure. But hopefully I can fix it. I'm thinking ketosis and stuff will hopefully repair it, because there are reports of that. But anyway, so it was fine for a month. During this whole time I was on a ketogenic diet, carnivore ketogenic diet. I have to be on diets like this because the carbohydrates flare up some pretty severe health stuff I've got going on. And carbohydrates make my life pretty close to unlivable. So it gets very serious. So I have to be in ketosis pretty much all the time. And yeah, and from there I was fine for about a month. And then what I did was, for one day I wanted to experiment with something. I ate a high carb and low fat diet. So I just ate a plate full of potatoes, I ate a bunch of rice, ate some cereal, just stuff like that for a day. The C. diff came back immediately. My body's not used to that amount of fiber. I eat a very low fiber diet normally. Pretty much just some avocados, maybe beans, like green beans every now, string beans every now and then. Really low fiber diet, but this fiber, high carb binge essentially was, and I didn't even eat terrible food. It was proper foods like rice and potatoes and stuff. But it came back And that was about a month later, immediately, because I knew that's what triggered it. And in my mind, I'd just done something suddenly so drastic, and all this carbs and fiber just allowed the C. diff to take over. It gave it enough juice or whatever to take over. And again, I was like, shit. So I went back to the doctor. I did tests. They said you can do vancomycin. I was like, no, I'm not doing it. Absolutely not. In Australia, everything sucks in terms of, compared to where the US is with this stuff. We can't really get Difficid. It's about $2,000, and I don't even know if I can actually get it. Most people don't even know what it is. Most medical professionals. You can get FMT, but it's not easy to get. You need a referral. You can't get the pills that you swallow. You have to go through an actual day surgery thing. And I looked at it all, and I was getting desperate because I did not want to use the antibiotics. He gave me another prescription for Flagyl again. I have the prescription. I never filled it. He suggested to try the full 7 days. I only did 3 last time. So I was Googling, and also this whole time I was taking the yeast. What's it called? Espuladi, that yeast that everyone takes, did nothing for me. I know it works for a lot of people, but did absolutely nothing for me. I was also taking pretty much the whole time something that's been studied is L-plantarum 299V. L-plantarum 299V, probiotic. There has been studies done on it fairly extensively, and they say it assists. Did nothing for me at all. So pretty much when the C. diff came back, I went immediately to a carnivore diet, 0 carbs. So I just ate fat and animal products, no fiber. And it didn't do anything really. It didn't really make it worse or better. It just stayed consistent. There were pains in my lower back that I was getting that were very uncomfortable, made it hard to sleep a few times. And this was scary because I thought it might have been my kidneys getting infected, which scares me. So I was Googling around, and I found this one probiotic that they hadn't studied much. There was a report of an older lady, I think she was in her 80s, who nearly died from C. diff. She was dealing with it for, I think, 2 years. Doctor put her on this one probiotic, and she was fixed within 3 weeks. That's one report, right? It's not much. Then I found, I think, 3 studies. One had 4 people. 75% of them had this helped them. There was one with 6. I think it was like 4 of the 6. And there was one study where it didn't help anyone at all. So I'm like, okay, what have I got to lose? I went and got it. It is actually the first probiotic that they synthesized in the 80s called Lactobacillus rhamnosus LGG. Lactobacillus rhamnosus LGG. In Australia, Inner Health Plus on the go. 12 billion in a capsule. So I started to take it. I didn't think it would do anything, but then after the first time I took it, I noticed a slight difference. It was very slight, but it was different to the any time that I'd taken Espuladi or this other one. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. And then after a couple of days later, it did nothing again. And I was like, okay, what if I add fiber with it? So I ate an avocado. I ate some string beans and avocado as I do normally. So going low carb, still staying keto. Ate that, and then pretty much within 24 hours it was fixed. No more diarrhea. 48 hours it was a lot better. Still had bit of stomach pain and stuff, but no diarrhea at all. And it's been fine ever since. Stomach's still a bit uncomfortable. This all started maybe a week and a half ago, so it's been that long. So it worked pretty much straight away for me. So, I mean, for you, give it a go. What have you got to lose? What I take away from all this is big changes in your diet seem to cause an issue for C. diff. So it's not a random thing. It lives there. We have to get it under control. If we make these big changes like I did with the sugars and the carbs, The sugars, carbs, and the fiber, it gets an opportunity to take over. I think it's the same with a lot of drugs. It's the same with even like natural antibiotics or antibiotics. Obviously, it can give it an opportunity because it's an opportunity seeking bacteria, like all bacteria, I guess. So try not to make big changes. Try what I did. Try zero carb and then have a little bit of fiber with the probiotics, or try keto at least. The one thing the ketogenic diet did do for me was it kept my mental health in check. It just, when I'm in ketosis, my mental health is far, far, far infinitely better than when I'm eating carbs. And I didn't freak out so much. I didn't, like a lot of people are really freaking out on especially on the Facebook groups I'm in. It stopped that. It allowed me to just stay focused in my problem fixing mode, and eventually I figured it out for me. So, I mean, hopefully some of you can knock this on the head. I think that a lot of this is that people will take the Vanco or whatever it is, deficit that fixes it, but then maybe they make drastic changes to their diet that allow it to take over. So what I would suggest is when you take the antibiotic, if you do, just keep on the same diet. Don't make any big changes. The same diet that you're on while you were taking it. Don't make any big changes. Everything slowly, subtle. Take the probiotics, the one that I mentioned, and see how you go. I mean, I was so grateful to be able to fix this without the use of the medical system here. I'm so angry with the medical system. I'm also angry at myself for trusting them, for not trusting my own intelligence, my own ability to research. So, yeah, I hope that helps someone out there anyway. Feel free to ask me some questions if you want to post down below. Thanks, everyone.